welcome to Garden Style. So I have some more new specimens, which is part of my May plant haul that I wanted to cover with you guys today. And I am going to start off with this beauty right off the bat. This is something that caught my attention at the nursery. This is a Deutzia, and it is just absolutely amazing with these pale pink flowers, and of course it just gets loaded with them. This particular cultivar, I'm trying to find the tag on it, but I could probably just tell you about it. Oh, here it is. This is an amazing shrub. Now the original shrub comes with all white flowers, and they have now come out with so many new hybrids that they now have different colors, and this one really caught my eye as it's a pale pink flower, and this will start blooming towards mid to late spring, and it actually hangs on to its blooms for quite a while. And the cool thing with this shrub, it is a deciduous shrub, and yes, it needs full sun, but the really neat thing about it, as I like to get mileage out of my plants, is it will bloom in the early spring, gets loaded with flowers. It'll lose its flowers, but it still has this gorgeous foliage that it leaves behind with the burgundy stems. And then in the fall, the leaves turn like this deep burgundy color in the autumn, and it is just amazing. So I had a few of these at my old property, and I definitely wanted to bring some more into my new property. And this particular variety doesn't get quite as big as the original. The original actually gets about 10 feet high, believe it or not, about 6 to 7 feet wide. And this one is kind of the midstream. This one will actually get, let me look here, 3 to 4 feet tall and about 4 to 5 feet wide. It might get a little bigger with age, but for the most part, that is what you'll get. And this is the perfect like mid-border type of shrub to help fill in big spaces, which is what I'm still trying to do as I've started a new bed. But definitely wanted to introduce this variety to you. There are lots of different varieties of these. You can get the very large at 10 feet. You can get a mid at 4 to 5 feet. And now Monrovia has actually come out with another new hybrid that's even smaller than that. It's like the dwarf Nico variety. So I really encourage you to go to your nurseries right now while they're in bloom at the nurseries, and that way you can get a really good idea what type of blooms you like. But definitely wanted to start off with this guy. He is amazing. This particular variety, before I leave him, is a Nico Blush Deutzia, and that definitely suits that name, as it is kind of a blush pink. So I'm so excited to get these back into my yard. Okay. Another awesome shrub. They just keep coming out with these great varieties every year. Now, this may look like your typical white Gila, but it has actually got some really neat aspects to it. The main thing being, it keeps blooming. So unlike the old-fashioned white Gilas where they bloom in the early to mid-spring, which I still love, don't get me wrong, they have now come out with hybrids where they rebloom throughout the summer and right on into fall. So bonus, another mileage plant as far as I'm concerned. Now this is also a deciduous shrub. It'll lose its leaves in the fall and going into winter. But in the spring, it will come out with these beautiful pink flowers that you see here. Big tubular flowers. The hummingbirds also love these. And it's another mid-border shrub. It's just amazing. This particular variety they call Sonic Bloom, and this is in the pink. And it will get, I can never remember the sizes on these, same thing as the Deutzia. It'll get about 4 to 5 feet tall and just about as wide. And again, it is a deciduous shrub. Both of these require full sun, at least 6 hours of sun during the day. But another amazing variety. I saw it advertised, and I went down to the nursery, and sure enough, they had some. So I made sure to get me a couple of these shrubs for that bright afternoon sun that my front yard receives. That's probably where they're going to end up. So another awesome little variety there. Let's see, what else can I introduce to you? Here's another really cool plant. This is actually a perennial. This is called Penstemon. Now there must be hundreds of different varieties of Penstemon. But this is a newer one that has come out, and this one is called Purple Rock Candy. And look at that gorgeous color. Again, tubular flowers in a real deep purple. I also have another variety very similar to this in like a deep pink. But I had a sunny spot, actually a couple of pots that I'm going to be putting these into. And of course next year I'll probably be pulling them right back out of those pots and finding a home for them out in the perennial bed. But this is another amazing plant, and of course, as with perennials, they come back year after year. And if you keep these trimmed throughout the summer, you get to enjoy these gorgeous purple flowers all during the summer. And I've probably got 3 or 4 of these that I want to fill some pots with out on the deck. But definitely wanted to introduce you to this particular variety. Penstemon takes full sun. They're also drought tolerant once they're established, and the hummingbirds, it sucks them in like a magnet. They just love these things. In fact, I got these out of the trunk of my car earlier today, and I had them sitting underneath the porch, and sure enough, I walked out the front door and there was a hummingbird just going to town on all the flowers. So love these, and I thought they would be fun to have on the deck just so we could attract the hummingbirds right onto the deck. So another gorgeous specimen. Now here's another specimen, not necessarily a new one, but this is something I have had really good luck with in the perennial bed, and this is a Delphinium. And these are known for their true blue flowers. It is really hard to find perennials with a true blue. Delphiniums just happen to fill that void. And I like them for their tall, spiky flowers. This particular variety is what they call Aurora Blue Delphinium. It's an upright perennial. It'll come back year after year. They're extremely hardy once they get established. The ticket to these guys is to see to it that they get plenty of water during their first year while they're in the ground, and then they'll pretty much take off and take care of themselves after that. Now, they don't like the hot, late afternoon heat. They love morning sun and maybe a little bit of afternoon sun, but after 2 o'clock, it's a good idea to have these stationed in a place where they'll actually receive some shade. I've seen them balk at having a lot of sun in the late afternoon, and I've ended up having to move them later. But the Delphiniums are amazing perennials. They actually get big and shrubby, and after about 2-3 years you can actually divide these so that you can move them to other parts of the garden. But they add height and an amazing like spiky type form to your perennial beds. And I always encourage people, don't buy just one. You need at least 3 to 5 and group them together in the same area in your garden, so that way you have a really true statement in the perennial bed. But as you can see, these are beautiful blue right here. Delphiniums are also available in like lavenders as well as white. And these happen to be a double flower, which I adore. And as you can see, he's just getting ready to go to town, and he's got some other new ones that are getting ready to come out. But full sun again, just not the late hot heat afternoon sun. And they'll just reward you year after year by coming back. So again, another plant that you get a lot of mileage out of. And you keep these pruned as well. Just prune off these old spikes once they die back, and they'll send up some new ones for you. So it's all about just keeping them maintained. But love that perennial, and just wanted to share that one with you. Now here's another neat plant, which I think is just super cute. And I always break down and end up getting more of these every year. This is called Mexican feathergrass, and it's just what they are. They're like feathery type grasses, and they get these beautiful little seed heads across the tops of them. But I love mixing these in, especially in my pots, and I'm probably going to combine this with the Penstemon out on the back deck, just because they add this beautiful soft texture. And they're also extremely hardy, very drought tolerant, appreciate the full sun, and you just cut them back in the spring, just, you know, about this high from the ground, and they'll come right back and give you this beautiful feathery plumage throughout the spring and the summer. So I wanted to share that one with you as well, and I always end up getting several of these every year to add to my pots, and then of course you can transplant them out in the yard as well. And these are also awesome if they're grouped together in just a big area, a big swath of them somewhere in a nice sunny garden. And I like them because of the movement, number one. You have the wind blowing through them, that sort of thing, so they add a little extra movement to the garden. But I just wanted to share this with you, as they're also amazing. And of course, very drought tolerant, as most grasses are. And just super easy to take care of. As long as you don't overwater them, they will do great. So just wanted to introduce that little guy to you. And then, as we move to the shade, look at this beautiful begonia. Now I have a front porch that receives very little light, and this is an amazing plant for that. I have a big pot that I'm getting ready to plant these into, and as you know, begonias are amazing. It almost looks like a house plant. It is so pretty, but it has this deep burgundy color in it, and there's also a little bit of silver. So I decided to add, I can find them here. I had, oh, here they are. If you combine these with the silver, like you see here, this is a silver trailer, this is helichrysum. You can get it in like the silvery type foliage, or you can get them in like a lime green type foliage. But this is just an obvious one where you've got the burgundy and the silver together, and it'll just look amazing in a pot. So these will actually trail over the edge, and these of course are your thrillers. And I'm only going with 2 colors. I believe that is all it's going to need, as this particular plant makes a huge statement all by itself. But it's definitely made for the shade, and these particular ones are tubers. So if you take care of them like what I do, is I just take the whole pot and put it in the garage during the winter time, winter them over, and then just bring them right back out in the spring. So this is another plant that you can get mileage out of and not have to repurchase again the following year. So amazing, amazing plant. It's just so pretty. As you can tell, I had a ball at the nursery today. All right, what else did I want to share with you today? Oh, yeah. Here's another fantastic perennial. And I grew these at the old property, and I was determined to get some more. But these are poppies, and this particular variety happens to be called Poppaver Brilliant. Brilliant red is what it is. It's a very gorgeous red color. And I purchased these because I actually have a swath of lavender sitting on the corner of my perennial bed. And reds and purples, reds and lavenders, or poppies and lavenders, the two pretty much take the same type of conditions when it comes to watering, which is not a lot. Once they're established, they're very drought tolerant, and they actually appreciate being a little more on the dry side. So I tuck these in between my lavenders, and the red and the purple mixed together is amazing. It's beautiful. And I got this idea from a lavender farm that I visited in Squim, which is north of where I live now, and they're famous for their lavender gardens. And I just noticed that they always had poppies mixed in with their lavender. So it's a matter of finding the right variety and being able to have them bloom at about the same time that your lavenders bloom. Now these are getting ready right now. As you can see, they have very large buds. And their leaves are kind of furry on the outsides. And a lot of times when they have furry leaves like this, you don't want to get water on them. I always recommend to people, and lavender too as well, don't water the leaves themselves. Always water underneath the plant, as the water can get trapped on the leaves there. And that's part of the reason they are furry, is to pull the moisture in from the air when they need it. But of course, when you're babying them in the garden, like I do, they wouldn't need it. But I wanted to introduce this to you, as poppies are super easy to grow once you have them established, and they just get bigger and better with each passing year. So another plant that is just amazing in the garden. And those will bloom in about June to July. All right, what else? All sorts of goodies back here. Believe it or not, I am actually starting to get near the end of my planting. For the pots anyway. I have felt like I've been in a big huge rush this year, just due to the fact that we had so much rain here in the Northwest. Record rainfall, by the way. It's the most we've ever seen. And it just stopped about a week ago. I mean, literally, we're getting downpours of rain on a daily basis, and then all of a sudden the faucet turned off, and it was 80 degrees yesterday, believe it or not. And I actually have a little bit of a sunburn. It's been a little too much time on the back deck yesterday trying to clean it up and get the furniture out. But now I feel like I'm a little behind because we have just been rained out up until this past week. So now I'm just going berserko, just trying to get everything planted. So anyway, moving on. I also picked up verbena. This is a fantastic annual, which I'll also be pairing up with the Penstemon in their pots. And of course, as I get ready to do my May garden tour going into June, I'll certainly show you these pots as soon as I have them planted and ready to go. But I love these plants due to the fact that they trail over and they just bloom and bloom and bloom their little hearts out. And these are available in just about every color under the rainbow. And I hadn't gotten any yet this year, and just thought they would be splendid with the purple here, as well as the grasses underneath. So pinks and purples are kind of the theme this year in my garden, with a little bit of red thrown in when you include the poppies. Okay, and so one last plant who's not terribly exciting, but he's extremely common, and I just wanted to talk about him a little bit, and that is your typical evergreen boxwood. Now, boxwoods are so versatile in the garden. Now, my garden is certainly not a traditional garden by any stretch of the imagination. I live near 5 lakes here in the Northwest, and very much in the trees in the woods. So I live in a very wooded lot here. So my gardens are more relaxed. I wouldn't say they're rustic, so to speak, but they're definitely more relaxed and not quite as traditional. And a lot of people think that boxwoods are a traditional type of plant, just due to the fact where you see most of them, they're just clipped, like perfect little squares or circles, which I'm okay with. But I like boxwoods just due to the fact that they grow well in the sun or the shade. They are versatile no matter where you put them. And I use them a lot in pots, especially when I don't want to go replacing the plants in the pots every single year. So this is one of those plants that you can put into a big pot. I actually have a couple of rectangular pots over here that I'm getting ready to plant these into, because I just have to keep replacing the plants in them every year, and I'm a little over that. So this year I'm going to put these in there, and they're going to stay there probably for the next 2 to 3 years until I absolutely feel I need to pull them out. But I'm going to be combining these with some other plants. This particular variety is a green mountain boxwood. It's a very common boxwood that can get pretty good sized compared to a good portion of them. Let's see. Yeah, these can actually get 5 feet to 3 feet wide. But of course I'll be keeping mine clipped, and it'll actually look like a miniature hedge sitting inside of these two semi-traditional pots. They're more like Italian rectangular pots, and I'll show them to you in my next video once I get them planted. But I decided to go that route this year, as these pots aren't going anywhere. They are so big and so heavy, cement pots to boot, that I just wanted to get something in there that was going to stay there for a couple of years so that I don't have to keep doing the same thing year after year after year. Now, the cool thing with boxwoods, I have some of these sitting on my front porch as well, is when I plant annuals under them during the spring and the summer, and I take those out in the fall, these are just so cool because they still keep their shape and their structure. They're evergreen, so they're not going to lose their leaves. So I find it to be the perfect thing during the winter time, especially around Christmas, as an extra shrub, so to speak, in a pot that I can put lights into. And I can also dress these up with other greens as well as berries and that sort of thing for winter interests as well as extra Christmas interests. And that's a few videos down the road, but I will definitely be showing you a lot of those type of ideas as to how you can decorate your porch with what you already have for Christmas. Okay, so that is about it. I just had one other thing I was going to show you, and that's these brilliant, beautiful, like cranberry red petunias that I picked up today, and they are actually going to combine with the boxwoods in these big rectangular pots until these get big enough to where I won't have to actually put annuals in with them. They can sit alone on their own. But just had to show those to you because I just thought they were spectacular. Just some beautiful colors out this year. It's just amazing, all the new things that they're coming out with plants. It just keeps gardening fun and keeps it interesting, and hopefully inspires you as much as has inspired me this year to just go for it and start planting all the pots. And I am almost there. I almost have all my pots planted for the year. I'm so excited. All right, you guys, just wanted to share with you my May plant haul. It's going to start slowing down here really soon because as we start to get into June, it'll be time to talk about vegetables. And yes, I haven't talked a lot about veggie beds and vegetables just due to the fact that I have some raised beds and I'm replacing. They came with the house and they're really old and they're starting to rot out, so I'm going to be yanking those out and putting in some new ones. And then we'll talk all about vegetables. And here in the Northwest, we can actually get away with putting our vegetable beds in a little later, just due to the fact that our summers normally don't start until June and July and actually get warm enough for things like squash and cucumbers. So I hope that keeps you inspired. By all means, you can visit my website at gardenstylenorthwest.com or send me an email at gardenstylenwest@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have or comments. And keep the comments coming. I've been getting quite a few on my videos, and it just keeps me inspired to keep you inspired to get out there and get your hands dirty. All right, you guys, let the planting begin. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.